Hey guys, this is June because as Ronnie and June. Welcome to my amazing life today. So in today's episode, we are going to explore what are the very effective tips and tricks in order for you to do your sales call follow-up very effectively. So stay tuned to the end. Welcome back. Okay, so in today's episode, we're going to deep dive in that these are the tips and tricks that you can use in order to follow up your prospect effectively without feeling like you are very clingy for the sales, okay? So whenever we are doing like a sales closing process, the last thing that we want to show others is that we are desperate for sale. Because when you prospect kind of know that you are desperate for sale, that's where it's a red flag to them, and then that's where you will react very subconsciously that you are very clingy, desperate, and you send that kind of message. Your prospect will actually run away. So that's why here I actually share about 5 tips that can help you very effectively. Tip number 1, always follow up with values and more information. So what do we mean by with values and more information? Let's say today is the day that you decide to follow up your prospect. Don't just start with the conversation, say, hey, how is things going on? How was the thing that we mentioned just now? You kind of like sense a very obvious reasons that you're doing follow-up, right? I always love to follow up very subtly, all right? I follow up with values. Like let's say maybe a few weeks ago, this prospect or this lead actually spoke to me about a problem that he was having. Even though I presented him some solution, clearly he wasn't ready to invest or he wasn't ready to deep dive in, right? So what I will do is that remember with the problem this prospect have, and I'll actually just give them extra information. It can be any videos, it can be any audio, or it can be any articles that which you find very useful even for yourself. Then you can just treat your prospect or treat your lead like a friend, because then you will sound less like a seller but more like a friend who is helping a friend, right? So I'll probably send this information, like let's say my prospect is having some problem at closing deals, okay? And then recently I've been watching some videos which I really think that is going to help them. So what I will do is that I'll actually send this link to the prospect and say, hey, I just saw this video, it could be very helpful for you as what you mentioned last time that you were having that problem. So yeah, to check it out, I find it very useful. So when you do that way, follow up with information that is able to help the prospect, you kind of put their goal at first. Okay, a lot of amateur for when they are dealing with follow-up or deal closing, they put their interests as first, meaning in their mind they just want to make the sale, they just want to close the sales. But then when you put that in mind, subconsciously you are going to act very differently, right? Okay, so that's why for every prospect or every lead that I actually ever talk to or actually message with, I either keep in my book, like I write down when we had the call and what was the conversation like during the call, or if let's say it's a messaging, I actually keep them in a Google Sheet or an Excel file to record down what was the conversation is about. And then on the same day that I'm having finished the conversation with the prospect, I also list down what would be the follow-up to-do list. Maybe one week or 2 weeks down the road, I should actually supply. So with that, it's kind of give me a more effective sales process that I don't have to keep on remember like what should I talk to this prospect, okay? So that's why always follow up with information and also values in advance. So that's the tip number 1 and tip number 2. So follow up with information, and second tip is actually keep all the information about your prospect. Know what's their goal. Number 1, what's the goal that they want to achieve, and then secondly, know what's their problem, okay? Okay, so that is tip 1 and tip 2. Okay, tip number 3. This is what you can do. Let's say you are following up with information. The information can be a article that you recently read. It is very awesome. You can actually customize this link. I'm using one tool, it's called Switchy. It has a lifetime deal, it's about only $39, where the best part is that even though this article is a third-party article, it's not written by me, it's a video that is not recorded by me, right? I can actually use this Switchy, customize the link, and then make sure that my prospect, whenever they click on the link, they are being targeted, okay? So this is super awesome, because when they are being targeted, Next, when you're doing like a Facebook ads, you can actually target back to this pool of clients which you already benefit them in advance. That's number one. And then secondly, the more information that you share, you kind of have like a database of you can build the look-alike audience in Facebook ads. So for those that you guys are starting out doing the Facebook ads just like me, or you are experienced, this can be really, really very valuable, because it's best to let the digital marketing to follow up for us rather than we follow up through the call and we follow up through the message, right? Definitely digital marketing, retargeting and follow-up will be much more subtle and then much more effective in reminding them of our offer. Okay, so tip number 4. Okay, so after we follow up with, let's say with values, with an article, the next thing that you can do is that you can subtly chat with them, start a conversation, just like, yeah, I kind of like thought of you, we were chatting about this issue, that's why I thought like sharing this article with you. And then subtly lead it to, yeah, how was the problem that you mentioned to me previously? So subtly, as a friend, ask how was the problem going on. Maybe your prospect already solved the problem, which is good for them, right? Then you cheer for them and then continue the relationship ongoing. Because most likely, if let's say they solve your problem, there's always two scenarios. One, they've solved the problem, but then they use a lot of their resources, time and efforts in order to solve it, which you can at the same time position that you can save their time by achieving the same results. Or if let's say you follow up with a prospect very subtly about the problem they had, maybe they haven't solved it. So that's where you can also give them some more information that can help them. At the same time, subtly position yourself as the main solution that you can offer. Okay, so I always prioritize relationship as first when I'm doing like all this sales follow-up or either like messaging follow-up, because I believe this is something that money cannot take away. Money could not take away the relationship we are building with our lead and prospect. Does it make sense to you? So tip number 5. Okay, fix a day of the week to do a follow-up. I actually learned this in one of the videos that I watched today. They actually have this plan called like follow-up Friday. So means that every Friday you kind of like, you call your Friday as a follow-up Friday. Like, hey, this is a follow-up Friday just to check in, is everything alright with something that we were talking about? So this is one of the tip and trick that I newly learned. I actually been doing this for quite some time, but then I don't call it purposely as follow-up Friday. So this is actually up to you, because if let's say you call it as follow-up Friday, it rhymes, it's easier for you to remember, which is very good. But what you need to do is that you need to fix a day of the week. Block your time in your calendar that is only meant to do follow-ups with your prospect, or even though you can actually do like a post-sales follow-up, because you wanted to know how well is your client doing with the course or with any coaching program that you're having, right? So it's good to let them know that you care, because with this in place, you kind of set a rhythm not only for yourself, but also for your client as well, okay? The next tip. Use NLP techniques. Okay, this technique is very, very powerful. If let's say you want to convince or you want to persuade someone to look into something that you already prepared for a long time, right? You can ask them not to look into it. Okay, let me give you an example. So probably you can use this technique to follow up. Let's say you don't necessarily need to go through the video training that I give you for free unless you want to improve your follow-up and close deal strategies. Okay? You don't need to watch this video and read this article unless you want to 10x your sales. When we ask our prospect or our lead not to do something, guess what? The NLP suggests that our brain don't read the negative words, meaning we don't process the don't, okay? I ask you don't do this and don't do that. You kind of like, you're caught in surprise, say, yeah, why you ask me not to do it? So in return, they will actually be doing it. So this is a part of the persuasive communication skill, which I've been using for such a very long time and is working very effectively, not only with your prospect, but also with your family members or anyone that you want to try to input your influence, okay? So I hope that you guys learn a lot of different strategies in order to do follow-up. Remember, nobody wants to buy stuff or get an offer from someone who sounds very pushy and sounds very desperate for the sale. So of course, when you do follow up, you have to do it subtly, and then remember, every client and every lead that you have are very different. So you kind of need to know how to read what kind of customer they are in order to maintain a balance between how frequent you want to do follow-up. Okay, so if let's say you really like this video, give me some comment below, like which is the tip that you love the most. And also feel free to like, share, and comment on my video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Here and there we have even more videos that can actually help you. If let's say you're watching from Facebook, feel free to turn on the notification bell so that the next time I'm on Facebook Live, you're being notified. And of course, I actually have a free gift for you guys, which I'm going to put the link here. This is where you can actually get a free 10 pages of ebook teaching you how to delegate more effectively and hire a virtual assistant to do all your tasks for you. Okay, it's totally free. It's about 10 pages long, and I hope you guys enjoy this, and I look forward to see you guys tomorrow then. Take care. Bye.